ninth edition of WrestleRant here today with, of course, your host, Bleacher Report, Pitcher Combo's Level 3, Graham GSM Matthews here tonight to review the November 2nd edition of Friday Night SmackDown. What a good show it was, only 5 days removed from the hellacious Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. To kick off the show, we had the Miz TV segment involving the Miz, current Intercontinental Champion Kofi Kingston, the former World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus, and the current World Heavyweight Champion The Big Show. Now, I will admit, during the course of the segment, I was eating dinner. I had Chinese food for dinner. So a little kung pao bitch, as The Rock would say. But nonetheless, I was able to hear a lot of what both guys, or all guys, had to say during the course of the segment. Everyone played their roles well. Not much to say here. Miz was good here. Same with Sheamus, Show, and Kingston. I really like Show in this role. He's much better in this role than being portrayed as a pussy like he was before during the course of the feud with Sheamus going into Hell in a Cell. So I like his character much more now that he's World Heavyweight Champion. Sheamus was basically what you'd expect, same with Miz and Kofi. Miz and Kofi, their words didn't speak all that much volume, mostly because Kingston's defeated Miz at every single turn in all three matches that they've had together over the last 3 weeks. So that didn't really pack a punch as much as it should have, but nonetheless, they played their roles well here and set up the main event for later in the night. Miz TV is always an entertaining segment. This is a good way to kick off the show. First match of the night, Darren Young defeating Sin Cara in what was a fine match, about 4 minutes long, I believe. Not that long of a match, not that short of a match. I did like the fact that Darren Young picked the victory here. I believe it was clean. If I'm not mistaken, Darren Young didn't pick up the victory here clean. So I did enjoy that aspect of it. They need momentum. It was a good match. I mean, they had good chemistry. The crowd wasn't really into it, and I don't blame them. It was kind of a flat match. But even still, the action was good. I liked it. They have good chemistry. Darren Young picks up the victory here. However, that was not the end of it. The primetime players were cutting a promo. More specifically, Titus O'Neil challenging Rey Mysterio to a matchup. Rey Mysterio accepts the challenge. They have a matchup coming up next, immediately following the commercial break. Mysterio O'Neil lasts about 2 minutes. This is a fine match too. Obviously a lot shorter, but I think it was more fun than than the Darren Young Sin Cara match. I think the crowd is more into this match, mostly because of Rey Mysterio. He engages the crowd in all of his matches. As much as I don't like the guy at times, I do like his tag team with Sin Cara, as I've said many times before. And I thought this was a good match with him versus O'Neil. Mysterio goes over here with the roll-up, so I thought that was a good match as well. But obviously the main focus of this year is to further the tag team feud. As I've said time and time again in the last 2-3 months, they're really revitalizing the tag team division, which is really important at the moment. And having feuds like Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara versus the primetime players is something I'd like to see. They had a really good match at Hell in a Cell this past Sunday. They had a really good match on Raw a couple weeks ago. So I'm really liking the feud between the two teams. It really gives the tag team division some meaning. It's the first non-title tag team feud that we've seen in quite some time. So I'm really glad to see that as well, and it has the intrigue to it as well. And so up next we had Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton for the third time in the last 7 days. Don't get me wrong though, no complaints from me. Another very good match between these two guys. As we've seen with Randy Orton versus Dolph Ziggler last year, I mean those guys can have however X amount of matches and they can still be entertaining as hell. So I'm not going to complain that the match is bad. I just complain with the fact that there's no creative direction. I just don't think creative has anything to do with Wade Barrett at the moment, so they're just constantly putting him in matches with Randy Orton. Hopefully this is the end of it, because Wade Barrett won last week on SmackDown, Randy Orton won on Raw this past week, and Wade Barrett won on SmackDown this week. So hopefully this was the ultimate rubber match and Wade Barrett goes over here. So with that being said, the match didn't do all that much for me because we've seen the same thing on Raw and SmackDown in the last 7 days. But nonetheless, the match itself was good. Really liked the ending with smart booking by having Del Rio once again and Ricardo Rodriguez as well distract Randy Orton, pick up, and have Wade Barrett pick up the victory. Of course, was it clean? Absolutely not. Does it have to be? No, it doesn't. It does do a lot. It does help Wade Barrett a lot in the sense that he needs big wins in order to take that next step up the ladder in WWE. I would have liked to see this on Raw, quite personally, quite honestly, because Raw obviously has a bigger audience, and exposing these Wade Barrett victories to Raw rather than just the squash matches that we saw Wade Barrett in on Raw a couple weeks ago. Having him defeat a big-time name like Randy Orton could do a lot to boost his credibility on Raw, not just on SmackDown. But nonetheless, a good win for Barrett. I was marking out for that. And Randy Orton and Del Rio continue to brawl following the matchup going into the next commercial break. That was a very fun brawl as well. Really enjoyed that. I'm liking this feud. Contrary to what some people are saying, I've been really enjoying this feud between Alberto Del Rio and Randy Orton. Del Rio is finally showing personality for the first time since he debuted. Randy Orton is doing more jobs than he has been. I mean, he's been doing jobs for the past year now since he lost the world title to Mark Henry. But even still, I'm liking his character at the moment. It has some intrigue. He's showing more aggression. He looks in great shape, too. When he came back 3 months ago from the suspension, he was in shitty shape. I mean, he wasn't like obese or anything, but he wasn't in that same, he didn't have that same tone to his body. I mean, I don't even know why I would notice it in the first place, but even still, he looks like he's in great shape now, good spirits, and I'm liking this feud between him and Alberto Del Rio. So they had that really fun brawl, really enjoyed that. Matt Striker got his face stuck in the cake at the hands of Randy Orton. I thought that was really cool as well. Matt Striker, popping questions at the most inopportune moments, so I thought that was hilarious too. But even still, like I just said, I'm really enjoying this feud between Del Rio and Randy Orton. They're going to be having this feud culminate at the Survivor Series pay-per-view in a few weeks. But nonetheless, they're going to have the big blow-off match next week on SmackDown. This upcoming Tuesday on the Super SmackDown Live in a Falls Count Anywhere match. That should be entertaining as hell. Can't wait to see that. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'll get to the Super SmackDown Live in just a little bit. But even still, that's a good hook going into next week. Up next, the return of the Great Khali versus David Otunga. Of course, match is shitty. It was basically what you expect. It was over quickly, so I'm not going to complain. But I'm not going to complain about Great Khali coming back. I mean, as bad as his in-ring skills are, he's a great guy. I mean, the guy's been out with an injury. Not a so-called injury. I think he had some pituitary gland cancer or something like that that was detected back in July, which kept him out of action for a substantial amount of time since then. So I'm glad to see him back. I mean, he's always good with the crowds. He's charismatic. I like, his hand signals and stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. Khali's very entertaining to me. Obviously the match is shit, but even still, I'm glad to see I'm glad to see Great Khali back. Even if it means seeing more idiotic matches like this. And the thing with Natalya, I have no idea what that is. Don't even ask. I mean, the Punjabi Playboy stuff, he's been doing that for years now, so maybe that kind of ties into it. Maybe they're going to do something with Khali and Natalya asking or saying that his hands are big. That was a little weird, not going to lie. But even still, I mean, it's harmless. But even still, going forward, we had another match with R-Truth going over Justin Gabriel. It was kind of a meaningless matchup, but even still, the match wasn't. It had some fun action. These guys worked well together. It was a first-time ever matchup. I liked the match. It just served no purpose in my mind. I know they shaked hands after the matchup, or they shook hands. Why am I saying shake? That's poor grammar. But even still, I thought Justin Gabriel was going to turn heel. Maybe R-Truth. I would love to see R-Truth turn heel. I don't think it's a possibility in the very near future. I think Vince McMahon is very high on the face character of R-Truth, sadly. I loved him more as a heel, but even still. I don't know about Justin Gabriel as a heel. He did do it in Nexus. I know he was able to pull it off, but even still, he works much better as a babyface. And I don't see the point in putting him in against another babyface in R-Truth. Maybe because Justin Gabriel is the former contender for the U.S. title, they want to have R-Truth defeat him to somewhat solidify contendership for the United States Championship. Going to Survivor Series against Antonio Cesaro. That would make somewhat sense, but they didn't even show Cesaro or mention him, so I'm not exactly sure what the point of this matchup was, but even still, a good match. And up next, we had our main event with The Miz and Big Show reuniting the Show Miz, the first time in nearly 2.5 years since I've been able to say that, against the tandem of Kofi Kingston and former World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus. This is a good main event matchup right here, some good action. Really enjoyed the finish with The Miz going over. The Miz's first big victory in quite some time. I don't think it's going to earn him another title match against Kofi Kingston, but they are going to be continuing that feud going into Survivor Series since they're both on Team Punk and Team Foley respectively. So that makes sense why they have wanted to have Miz go over here. It's the first time that he's gotten a victory over Kofi Kingston in quite some time, or at least not in this feud. I mean, Sheamus burying, no, I don't want to say burying, that's a terrible word because I know it's vastly overused in today's wrestling society, but even still, he gets bro kicked following the matchup at the feet, or I was going to say hands, but more so at the feet of Sheamus. And then Big Show just looks on from the stage. So I thought that was good as well. Sheamus has this renewed aggression in him, not just this go-happy-lucky character that we've been seeing from him since he turned face about a year ago. So I'm glad to see that. Big Show's character I'm really enjoying as well. So at least the feud isn't shit anymore. I mean, as I said about a month ago, there's segments, what was it? The election thing that they did, the debate, that was complete shit. And I said they always had some time to turn it around. They didn't turn it around before Hell in a Cell. They finally did it just this past week after Hell in a Cell. So I'm glad to see that, or more so at Hell in a Cell when they had that excellent matchup. So I'm glad to see that feud turned around. That should be good going into Survivor Series as well. So overall, a really good show. I'd say tonight's SmackDown was a good show. decent to good show. Not a lot of things to write home about, but the match of the night was obviously Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton. But that's not even saying all that much because we saw it last week on SmackDown and this past week on Raw. So if you missed if you missed tonight's episode of SmackDown, you're not missing much. But even still, I was marking out for the Darren Young victory, for the Wade Barrett victory, and the Miz victory at the end. So I liked it. I was enjoyed for the 2 hours that it lasted. It didn't drag on like last week. I thought it was an enjoyable 2 hours and a good stepping stone to Survivor Series in a few weeks. So with that being said, this upcoming Tuesday we have Super SmackDown Live at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. It's not more so live because it's going to be taped in England that day, so it's going to be on tape delay. I know a lot of people are confused about that. But even still, I'm really looking forward to that. I absolutely love when the WWE goes to the United Kingdom every April and every November because the England crowd, in my personal opinion, is always extremely electric. I love the environment there. I know some people say the scenery is somewhat stereotypical, but I love it. I think it adds to the entire thing. They don't do that with many countries or many places that they go to. I think England is one of the very few places that they add the scenery to make it feel like, an actual English environment. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really looking forward to that. As I just said, Randy Orton versus Alberto Del Rio for next Tuesday's card. So look forward to that on our road to Survivor Series in just a few weeks. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe. I really do appreciate it. If you have any thoughts on tonight's show, make sure to hit me up on Twitter at @__GSM. Make sure to check out my review at nextwrestling.weebly.com as well as on Bleacher Report this Saturday morning just by searching Graham GSM Matthews on Bleacher Report. Thanks for watching, guys. As I just said, hit that subscribe button. Enjoy your weekend, guys. And this is GSM signing out. Till next time, guys.